not hard for me to transition into a positive mindset. And it has truly helped me stay focused on my business and other goals that I have that I want to accomplish this year.
Edith, that's awesome. That's awesome. And it's, it's developing that routine. It's developing that, taking what you're learning, implementing it, making it part of that routine, constantly thinking about it. All those things make a huge difference. Edith, thanks. That's great. Thanks for sharing. Anybody else want to share?
What was the name of the book? What was the name of the book, Edith?
The Miracle Morning.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else want to share before we move on?
Yeah, I also have something to share.
What you got?
What I did, Jeff, I started that training program that you and Mark talked about on KV Core.
Yeah.
And I went through the first week, so I try and do 2 or 3 of those, or at least 1 or 2. They only take each lesson's only 5 or 6 minutes, but just to try and get engaged in KV Core. I really didn't do a whole lot with KV Core, I'll be honest, because I had so many referrals, but it's given me some good ideas to go back in all those old leads. And
yes.
It's got standard emails you can send out to re-look at them and see if they're valid or how you should structure them. So that's something new for me, and I try and do that every morning before I start doing other things.
That's awesome. Get you in a good frame of mind. Get you ready and get you moving forward. I love it.
Yeah, and the coaching call, by the way, that I was on yesterday, I don't know how many people were on there, but the trainer from California, she had some great ideas. She was very helpful.
Yeah, Ron, I've been doing the same thing. That has been very helpful.
Yeah, a lot of new ideas, stuff that I hadn't thought about before. And so maybe I'll do something with KV Core this year.
I'm telling you, the biggest thing is a lot of us don't understand all that it does. And the deeper you dive in those classes, we're going to talk about that a little bit later. The deeper we dive in those classes, the more successful we're going to be. So,
but it gives you something to get going on, so it's helpful.
Wonderful, wonderful. Anybody else want to share?
Jeff, I did the ninja selling from Leading RE. I thought that was fabulous, and I thought it aligned really well with what Dan Elzer was teaching us. So that was a really good one for me.
Yeah, it's very deep, and I'll tell you, there's a bunch of layers to that, and we're lucky it's free for the next month. So get in there and start exploring that. I think it's going to be great for everybody. Thank you. Anybody else want to share?
Jeff, could I interject on what Ron just said about the KV Core?
Sure, Jackie.
I'm just grateful that he shared what he shared, because I've been ashamed, especially because of how wonderful you are and all that you offer for us. I've been ashamed I didn't do anything with it. And I had, like him, just lived off my referrals, which was way better than what I anticipated coming into this. Had 2 phenomenal years with you, and then I realized I need to get my butt kicking in gear with marketing. And then when you sent that program the way you did, for me, I'm very technology challenged, and I just want to say that I'm glad I'm looking at it, and that was the best thing, because I don't know if it's the timing or what, but it's simple and going step by step. That's how I needed to learn things, and I'm looking forward. Just yesterday, I realized that the KV Core and the Sales Storms are 2 separate. I hate admitting this.
Yeah, two separate programs, but both very, very good. Both very good.
So that's where I'm at. But like him, it was, even though we had all these referrals, now all of a sudden it's like, I hit a curve, a brick wall, and I've got to get out there. But I'm excited about that. And then the last thing I want to say is I'm hoping and looking forward to help with the blogging and setting up my website better and putting posts. I'm horrible at that, so I will be reaching out more for that too. But thank you for doing the KV Core, and these meetings has been incredibly helpful. Thanks, Jeff.
Oh, that's great, Jackie. Thanks for the kind words. I appreciate it. Ed just put on the chat, I've been using KV Core to email my clients with updates on the virus and what is happening in the market, discussing safety information as well. That's a great thing to do. There's ways to do mass text to everybody in your KV Core system, mass emails, where you can go and just update everybody on exactly what's happening and the market stats you're seeing. So that's fantastic. Thank you guys for the input. We do absolutely appreciate it. So a couple things I want to go over with you real quick here. I want to start off with a market snapshot. Like we're going to do this every week just to let everybody know what's happening, trends we're seeing, so you're well educated in what actually is happening, and we can answer some questions for you. So I'm going to share my screen. Give me 1 second here. So I'll start off with showing you the chart with showings in Ohio. So as you can see here, this is actually great. We're seeing a humongous increase last week in showings. This was your Easter dip. So a little bit of leveling off yesterday, but we saw very solid showings. In fact, we are showing more houses right now, even in the midst of this COVID crisis, than we did in January. So, you know, we are moving in some good directions. There was a dip last year in showing. So believe it or not, when I told you last year we were down, or last month we were down, or sorry, last week we were down 40-some%. Right now we're only down 22%. I don't really know what this dip was last year. I don't remember seeing a big dip in April, but that's what the chart's telling us. So I do want to let everybody know those are some good signs. Now, let me show you the market. So what I'm going to show you here is our MLS. So I'm going to start with pricing. As you can see from our conversation before,
I just put
low demand means higher pricing. We're seeing pricing actually go up a little bit. It dropped just a hair from last week down to, I can't see these numbers because of the box. Down to 138 from 139, but still holding very steady. When we go to supply and demand, we are still seeing a decrease in homes for sale. This is a trend that has been happening over the last month and a half. We're seeing that
so it just stays in place.
seeing that decrease happen. We also are seeing new listings. These are brand new listings hitting the market. So when I show you listing activity, we've seen a steady drop here recently in new listings hitting the market. So if I look at under contracts, so basically these are pending transactions, we are actually seeing a continual increase in pending units. So it's going up slightly from 1,177 to 1,196. That's increasing. And then when I track sales in the MLS, like I do on the front screen here, thought I had these up, sorry. You'll see that we are increasing nicely there into the 3 and 340 a day range in properties under contract. New listings are going anywhere from about 190 new listings a day to about 230. So we are holding steady, actually seeing a little increase this week in new listings hitting the market. So that's good, but we're trending in some good ways. Showings are up, sales are up, but what we are going to quickly run into is an inventory issue. So that's something that we're going to talk about in a few minutes. The seller conversations, how to talk to your sellers about what's happening, in some different safety tips to put in place when showing properties, listing properties, so on and so forth. So we got some good ideas that we're going to share with you guys in a few minutes on that. So any questions on the market update that I just shared with you guys? Did everybody see that screen I shared, or did I just do all that without? Okay, because somebody in the remarks said they couldn't see it. Do we have access to the data in Showing Time? Yes. So if you go on Showing Time's website on the front, and I'll do a follow-up on this, if you go to just showingtime.com, you'll see at the very top that COVID-19 link to the stats that I just shared, so you can monitor that as well to see what's happening there. So I want to, any other questions on market data? No? So Mark, we wanted to talk a little bit with accountability. So I will turn it over to you.
Terrific. So first thing right off the top, I'm happy to hear that many of you have started to indulge in our educational platforms. They're provided there for your use. I'm even happier that you identified with that it is that they're short and they're brief and they're constructive. So they were set up that way so that they are user-friendly. So if you have not done that so far, as we dive into our accountability section of the meeting, I strongly encourage you to do that. I think you'll be very pleasantly surprised. The other thing is both of those platforms have many, 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 many features. So if any of you, I'll use an example, have bought a new car that has technology in it, there is a list of things that you can do, but you're really only going to indulge in the things that appeal to you. If you pull one thing from every training that you do, it was worth it, just because it will help refine your business a little bit more. So I have questions. So why are we on the call today? What is the purpose of the call? So I need 2 people to chime in. What's the purpose of being on the call today? Suzanne.
To stay motivated, to get inspiration from others.
Perfect, perfect. Somebody else. Why are we on the call today?
This is Lydia. To feel during this time you feel disconnected or disassociated. It's so important that we all realize we are connected and in this together.
Perfect, perfect. Love it. Okay, next question. What do we hope to gain from the call today? 2 people, or I'll call you out.
Mark, it's Ron. I would say some new ideas.
Some new ideas. Perfect. One more.
Have the right mindset.
Have the right mindset. Good, which is something that we already covered. So the good news is that we're happy to supply all these tools for you, correct? You know, if anything that you're doing, if you have the right tools, it makes things a lot easier and a lot more comprehensive to complete. So, you know, with that being the case, if you build it, that's where you have the satisfaction of having built it yourself. If we build it for you, it turns into gratitude and admiration. So there's a lot better, bigger, greater satisfaction that comes from, we hand you the tools, we stand back, we watch you build it, and then when it's done, you turn to us and say, look what I built. Look how great that looks. Isn't that great? Thank you for your help. I would never accomplish this without you. Whereas if we have you stand by and build it for you, you'll stand back and go, wow, you did a really good job putting that together. I hope to be able to do that myself someday. So there's a huge difference in that accountability portion of it. So I have another question. So how many of you, with a show of hands, you don't have to unmute yourself, have started to do the Leading RE and or the KV Core educational platform? Just raise your hands. Fantastic. Very happy to see that. So for an extra 5 points, how many have it? Dun, 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 dun. Be honest. Okay. So for an extra 5 points and willing to stick yourself out there, why? 2 people. Be honest. I'll call you out.
I've been working on my post-licensing requirements.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. One more. Why haven't you done it?
I took a staging accreditation class,
Okay.
which took a time. So, and I just completed that. So KV Core is on my next list of things.
Great. So I'll help you along with this. Have any of you not done it because you're afraid?
I'm so sorry, Mark, but Mark, I'm
Mhm.
sorry. What were you asking if we've done yet?
Any of the educational platforms? KV Core or Leading RE?
Oh, I've done it. Okay.
Does anybody, it just did it because they were afraid? Be honest. No? Fantastic, because fear will paralyze you. Second question, has anybody just not done it because they're lacking the incentive to want to get involved in it? Be honest. Sure, which is what I would expect. Okay, so this is part of the reason why we started the meeting with the mindset. So whenever you say accountability, everyone thinks, oh, I'm gonna get scolded. That finger is gonna be wagged in my face. I'm gonna be left to feel bad. Well, that really isn't necessarily our approach with this, and that's not kind of the direction we wanna go with it. So we are going to go from encourage you to indulge in these tools that we've provided for you. There's a little bit of guilt in there. Did you feel it? Did it work? I hope so. So that being the case, like, please try to get yourself involved in all these tools that we're offering you to do. Looking down at my notes, do it for you and for your business. If you're showing up better on listing appointments, If you're running buyers and your energy is better, your education is on point, you're providing them with useful tools and knowledge, which, by the way, is why we do what we do, it's only going to feed into everything positive and good. In doing so, you're denying yourself that privilege. So please, if you're finding yourself having the difficulty trying to get going with what we're trying to help build you up with, you know, reach out to an accountability partner, make a phone call, or just simply take a big deep breath, dive into it, and when it's all done, evaluate whether it was worth it. I can almost guarantee that after completing one of those courses, you will feel better, you'll feel empowered, and it will give you some incentive. So now, the last thing I have on my list about accountability is the big question. If you say, well, if you say you'll do it, and you don't, how do you want us to respond? Interesting. So that's kind of goes back to our childhood. You know, when you were supposed to clean your room and you didn't, and you got grounded. Well, as adults, we get to choose how we want to respond. So I want you to consider that as you're going on. If you've got a team that you're working with, if you've got a productivity coach or a manager, mentor, anybody like that, set that out there. Say, hey, I need some help. I need to do this. And if I don't do this, I want you to put bamboo under my fingernails or color my hair blonde or whatever it is that works for you, just to keep you motivated and moving through it. Any thoughts or questions about all of the above? I'll take two or I'll call you out. Anyone? Bueller? Maria, Grimm, what do you have to say about all that? There you go.
I think it's great. I do participate in those, and I've taught myself KV Core when we made the transition from conversion to KV. So I feel like I'm ahead of the curve there. But yes, I was just on Leading RE the other day doing a sphere of influence letter. So very helpful, very cool.
Perfect, perfect. Jody Stevens, we'd love to hear from you this morning. What are your thoughts about accountability?
Well, that's obviously really important because we need to keep encouraging one another. Ellis keeps me accountable, so I've got my own built-in accountability person here.
Perfect, perfect. That's amazing. So as we move forward with the accountability portion of it, and again, I don't want anyone to feel that it has a negative connotation moving forward, but the reason that your leadership staff is here for you in all capacities is to help you through this, to make you grow. That is the whole purpose and the reason that we're doing all of this. So don't be afraid to reach out. It does not have to be a doling process. It can be fun. It can be enjoyable. Bless you. And it can be a little, it can be a little challenging at times, but this is why we're here to help you. So
yeah, we just want it. We want everybody to take this seriously. We got a lot to go over. We got a lot to train on over the next month, and we want to make sure we're making a push to get as many of you guys through it as possible. And I appreciate you jumping in there and doing it last week, but I want you guys to keep it going because these things will make a huge difference in your career over the next couple months. Mark, thanks, buddy. Great job.
Absolutely.
Great job. So I want to transition a little bit into today's topic, and I know we covered a lot, you know, in the first half hour, but today's topic is really virtual showings. So how can we participate in virtual showings? How can we promote virtual showings? How can we promote virtual open houses? So I want to talk over some tips and strategies, and I'm going to send everybody that's on this call a bunch of links to what we talk about, so you can revisit this, you know, in your day-to-day practice as well too. So we talk about virtual showings. Some of us have done virtual showings. Some of us have not done virtual showings. Some of us don't really understand what a virtual showing is. So basically what I want to encourage everybody to do, if you have a buyer or if you have a seller that is not wanting to enter property or show property, there are options. So what we've done is we've gathered some information we're going to be sending you guys, but I want to talk over the strategy of a virtual showing first. So a lot of times what's happening with virtual showings, either listing agents or buyer's agents, sometimes even sellers, believe it or not, are conducting virtual showings on their property. And what they're doing is they're using software like FaceTime, if you're an Apple user, Google Hangouts, Skype, Facebook Live, all these different options that are available for you to have a conversation. Just like we're doing here with Zoom, there's different technology that you can use to be able to walk through a property and show people homes. This is very common in relocation as well too, pre-COVID-19, where you had an out-of-town buyer and they wanted to look at properties with their agents, and they'd go through and they do FaceTime or they do Skype. And there's a couple things I want everybody to understand when you're doing these. How do we communicate the experience to the client? Well, there's certain things you have to look out for, because sometimes when I'm walking through a house and I have my phone, one, you got to be careful. You don't want to be crazy and unsteady, and it makes them sick watching it. So you got to be careful how you do that. But you have to communicate differently when you're showing virtually. Sometimes dimensions in rooms don't really come out correctly. Size of ceilings. You need to point those things out when you're actually showing those properties, saying, hey, look at this great room. Look, there's 10-foot ceilings. Communicate the size of the room to the client. Have the MLS printout there with you so you can have those communications. Do a debrief after the showing. So you go and you come out of that property, answer as many questions, do a debrief. What do you think? What do you think of the experience of how I showed you this home? Is there something you'd like me to do differently on the next one? Or do you want me to go back in and show you this or show you that? Make sure you're doing that debrief. But when you're doing these virtual tours, if you have listings, you could very easily go through, do a walkthrough on your listing and upload it directly to the virtual tour link in the MLS. So on every MLS input, there's a virtual tour link, and it's very easy to input different file types. So if you do a FaceTime, for instance, and you record that, you can upload an MP4 file. You can upload a YouTube link directly to a walkthrough if you wanted to upload that walkthrough on YouTube. You can record a Skype. There's a bunch of different ways you can do this and record it and just make it available for anybody that has an IDX feed and that listing's being syndicated out to. So that has been something that we've seen that's it doesn't cost you any money. You just have to go out there and shoot that video. So we're seeing a lot of agents do that, and we're seeing them do it successfully. That way, anybody can walk through that property at any given time by just clicking that link in the MLS. Showing time. So I'm going to share my screen with everybody again because I want to show you guys a couple different options on how we schedule virtual tours, what's available with virtual tours. So let me share my screen. So I want to start out with, make sure I got all this up here. Give me 1 second. I thought I had it on the screen, guys. I apologize. But the first thing I want to talk about is scheduling properties through showing time. So if you go and do a scheduled showing through showing time, and I'll put this in the link to the email I send out to everybody, there's an option that says virtual tour. And if you click that virtual tour, you put in instructions underneath. Now, you as the buyer's agent can do that virtual tour. You can ask the listing agent if they could do that walkthrough. Most of the time, the listing agent may push back at that. We've also had sellers that don't want to do virtual tours or have people directly in that property do virtual tours where the listing agent, the buyer's agent, and the buyer are all on that tour walkthrough together. And having a conversation as the seller actually walks them through that property. So those are all different ways to actually schedule the virtual tour. You can also, on top of, I'm going to try to play this video and tell me, guys, if you're having trouble hearing this because I'm doing a video through a Zoom, so hopefully it works. But there's also a new feature on Inside Real Estate with KV Core that is putting virtual tour requests directly on your listing. So I'm going to play this real quick here, guys. Hopefully you can hear it. It's only a minute.
Okay, new and very timely new feature here on your KV Core and K Plus website. You'll now see next to every property on your site a request video tour option. So people browsing your site can now click this, and they can request that you send them either a video of the property, you can go and record it yourself, or you can do a one-on-one Facebook Live with them. Basically, right here you'll see they can pick a time that they'd like to tour. It says, I'd like a video tour of this listing here. They request it, you get an email, you get the lead in the system, it's marked up, and then you can coordinate and get a video of the property to them. Again, you can either just go and record it, or you can do a one-on-one Facebook Live. Now, an extra little pro tip here is that you might want to maybe go into your signature line and add something about this. So I've gone and said, P.S. if you'd like for me to create a video tour of any of the properties on the website, just click Request Video Tour button, the Request Video Tour button. I can visit the property and record you a video, or if you want, we can do a one-on-one Facebook Live showing. This, of course, might also be something else that you want to mass email out to everybody in the database, just to let them know that this feature is available. So you could go into your smart CRM, you could search a hashtag, or just pick everybody by checking the box here, and then you can send a more actions. You go to mass email or mass text, and you can send a message that says, hey, we have a new feature. If you'd like a video tour of any of the properties you see on the site, just click that button and I'll get right back to you. So a great new feature, of course, is very useful right now with a lot of people not going out. It's a safer way to show a property. You can go to the property yourself and do the tour, and then send it over. And of course, you always have that live option as well, where you do a Facebook Live and you can kind of walk them around and answer questions in real life. And this new feature just allows people the ability to request that from you very easily. Thanks a lot.
So this is just, did everybody hear that okay?
Yeah, very good.
Okay, good. So that's just another another tool that you're going to see that shows up on your website that allows the public to request a virtual tour. I really like what he said at the end of that, though, as well, saying you could send that out as a mass text or mass email to every contact you have in KV Core as just another way to schedule a showing and drum up some business during this time as well, too. So I would encourage you guys, if you have never done that before, to try that. It's just a really great way to communicate some good information out to your clients. So now I want to transition a little bit to open houses. So I talked about this in a video probably about 3 weeks ago now. How can we do good virtual open houses? So what are some of the different tools and ways to do a virtual open house? Now, the most robust way to do it with the highest impact is this training series right now with KV Core. I'll send everybody on this call when we're done this link. But what this is it's an open house class that walks you through how to do a Facebook Live open house, being able to boost it out to an area that you're trying to promote that open house to, being able to send reminders to everybody who registers for that open house, email reminders an hour before that open house starts, how to promote it virtually, and how to do the live stream. Your best tips, your best practices for doing the live stream. A lot of people, what they're doing with virtual open houses right now is they're just going to the property and going live on Facebook. Well, that's great, and yeah, you will get some traffic, but are you really getting traffic directly associated to who is trying to view that property? And in most cases, the answer to that is no. So boosting open houses is very important. Now, there's two ways to do this. You can go through this class. Now this class will take you about a half an hour to complete, all right? And you have to be familiar with, some of the basics of Facebook business pages and how to boost property, which I know a lot of you on this call are, okay? And this will walk you through exactly how to do that effectively. You can also pay KV Core to do exactly what I just showed you through a property boost, but you do it for open houses. So I'm going to play one more 2-minute video here so everybody sees this and understands this, and that this is an option for them as well too. So I'm going to play this.
Okay, open house boost. If you go to the marketplace page and you click on property boost, and then you boost a listing, as I'm about to do right here, click use selected listing after you've chosen your listing, you'll notice that you can now choose open house. See how I'm toggling the green tabs right here? You can choose open house, And then what you're going to do is you're going to choose the open house time. And what this will do is it'll allow you to put the time of the open house directly into a Facebook ad. So let's say we have an open house this weekend. I think that's going to be, say, the 29th right here. Oh, it'll be March 1st. Like so. From 2 to 3, I can even add a second date. So if I'm doing a Saturday and a Sunday, I can show both dates in the ad. I'll click submit. And then I can choose 3 days, 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and 5 weeks. Now, in most cases, of course, you're probably going to be thinking about advertising your open house the week of, but sometimes you have this planned out ahead of time. You can do longer duration. So if it's Monday, as it is today, as I record this, and I have an open house this Sunday, I'm probably going to choose the 3-day option. But if you know you're having an open house later next week or a couple of weeks after, you can choose the longer duration. So I just choose $45 to run it for 3 days, and I am good to go. And as with Property Boost, you'll be able to input your seller's email address so that they're notified about all traffic. And this is a great way to make sure that more people show up to your open house, and to let your seller know that, of course, you're promoting the open house. And of course, with Property Boost and Open House Boost, you're generating real name, email, and cell number leads into your KV Core database. And don't forget to set up smart campaigns that specifically follow up based on the address. You can send a thank you text that says, hey, thanks for checking out the open house. Let me know if you have any questions ahead of time, things like that. So Core Open House Boost as part of Core Property Boost is now available. Give it a try. If you have any opens this weekend, definitely going to want to try this out. Okay.
So if you're just looking for an easy way to do them and to have Facebook do that whole process for you, or I'm sorry, KV Core to do that whole process for you, you could just utilize that in KV Core. So those are two very good options to do virtual open houses. So I want to ask another question. I've been away from the chat. I see a lot here. I'm going to try to answer those questions here in a second. But does anybody have any success stories that they'd like to share with how they did a virtual showing or a virtual open house that you think would be timely for the group?
Hey, Jeff.
Yes.
We're getting feedback. Give us a second.
Okay. Just mute one of you guys if you're both on there.
All right, we closed it. Is that better now?
That's much better. Absolutely. I can hear you.
Now we have no sound.
Oh, no sound? Yeah, you might. I can hear you.
Christina, you just pull over.
I'm just gonna pull over. Hold on a second.
We just made a sale off our virtual tour. So.
Oh, good. Okay, I can hear you. I can hear you. Explain what happened, Christina.
I don't know what's going on.
I can hear you.
Can you hear us?
I can.
Nod your head because we can't hear you.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. We actually just sold a house to somebody who lives in the Bronx. They're moving here from there, and we took them on probably a dozen,
15 maybe.
Yeah, virtual tours through YouTube, and we just went under contract the other day on a house. Had the inspection yesterday. Did the inspection virtually as well. So after the inspection was completed, the inspector sat down with us and we virtually walked through what was wrong in the house, what he wanted to point out to her, see if she had any questions from him. So it was a really good experience. I mean, she liked it, so we actually put one under contract that way. So I would say that was a good success for us.
That's fantastic. All right. I love it.
We're going to need you to write it out because we can't hear for whatever reason.
It's okay. We'll
watch the recording. That's good. I appreciate it. That's very good. Very good. Thumbs up. Thanks for sharing. Any other, anyone else want to share?
Please.
One thing that I've done, I haven't used the iPhone or I've used my personal cell phone to do any virtual tours only because I don't like how the shakiness and I don't like to hear myself breathe. So what I went ahead and done is all of my listings are now getting the Matterport 3D tour.
Yes.
And what's been great about that is there's no room for error now in the liability on my end of I missed something. They get the dollhouse view, and it's just another added value piece for my sellers that here's how we're proactive in keeping you and your family safe during these times. And we've gotten a ton of traffic on my listings through that. Actually sold one virtually through as a result of the Matterport. She flew into town specifically to see it after she viewed it from what I was told, which is great. But what I love about it though is you have that 3D view, and they can stay and they can sit in that room as long as they want, and they can look at everything, and it's pretty fantastic.
Yeah, it's honestly it's a complete different experience. I sold a house. I don't sell much anymore, but a few years ago, I sold my neighbor's home directly off Matterport, and they never even viewed the property. That was pre-COVID-19 until they got here and did the inspection. So we do, and I think I might have covered this a little bit at the last meeting, or Mark, one of the two of us, but we do have access. As Russell, we had purchased a Matterport camera. We have P3 Media that actually does those tours for us. And basically you can order that directly off the website. On the back end, I'll just do a quick share one more time so you guys can see this. But if you go to our KV Core platform, you go under quick actions here, and you go to P3 Media drone photography. You can actually order this tour for your house, and it is incredible. You literally walk through that property. You can go and literally click your mouse in different areas, or walk through with the cursors on your keyboard, and walk through that property, and it feels like you're literally walking right through the beginning of it. So Rich, that's fantastic. That's great feedback, man. Thank you. Anybody else want to share a success story with a virtual tour or open house?
Yeah, Jeff.
Go ahead.
Jeff, can you hear me?
I can. Is this Les?
Yeah, this is Les.
Hey, Les.
Yeah, I had a buyer request a virtual tour 2 weekends ago. I did a FaceTime call with them. We went and looked at a couple of condos. The following week, they came up, looked at it. We put our masks on. They looked at it in person. We're in contract this morning.
All right. All right. Love hearing it. That's great. That's great. That's great. Any other feedback? Lydia.
Hey, Jeff, I don't know if you guys are doing this. The virtual tours are great, but don't forget about the live streaming open houses.
Yes.
Those are being done through the MLS, and we talked about this yesterday on our call, that go do those live stream open houses where you're there during the open house time, because if you put them in the MLS and you mark them as a live stream, those are actually still feeding over to the internet like regular open houses. So when I ran them for all of Yes MLS yesterday, over the weekend, there were maybe 10 in all of Yes MLS, none in our footprint for the Medina office. So what a great opportunity.
Yeah.
Agents to set themselves apart for value of, we're going to do this. The other agents are not doing this. So if you have listings in your footprint, check out the MLS and how to do virtual or live streaming open houses. It'll get into the internet. You can also boost the link. So that's really,
yeah, and that goes in, Lydia, that goes out through IDX too. So
that's where it goes. So when you click it, it hits IDX out there. That's it.
Yep, and it'll be fed then to all the open house sites on the Zillow and Realtor and so on and so forth. So
agents are not doing that. There wasn't a single one in Medina's office's footprint. So what a great opportunity that we talked about on our call for our agents to do something that's going to set them apart from the other agents.
yeah, and that's virtual open houses on
Live
MLS.
streaming.
Yeah,
It's live streaming virtual open houses. There's instructions in the MLS. If not, read Laura Graber.
Okay, great. And I appreciate you bringing that up because I didn't see those instructions yet. So I'll try to find those and attach those to the link here I send out to everybody too. So it makes it easy for you guys. But Lydia, great. Thank you. Thank you. Good information. Any other success stories on those?
The virtual tours, I have 2 rental listings and I have at least 5 requests for a showing. between the two of them a day, I could practically live there if I were to show them every single time. So I talked with the landlords and the owners for them both, and they were very comfortable with doing the virtual tour and then a required application. And then upon approved application, people can go before they do their credit background check, before they pay for that. Then they can actually see it in person. But I'm hoping to keep that going with any rental listings that I have, is that you get the video walkthrough, you do an application, you get that approved, and then you can come to see it. So
Perfect.
it's an incredible time saver.
Yeah, because you can't be out there all day long doing that, and it gives them the same experience of walking through. So that's amazing. Stacy, great. Thanks for sharing.
Hey, Jeff, I just want to make sure everybody follows the rules on this, though, too, because this is an awesome subject. And that is that you got your seller's permission to do this. And number two, that whenever you're posting these things, anything that goes through the MLS needs to be non-branded.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, non-branded, meaning if you're posting it to that virtual tour link, you don't want to be saying this is so-and-so with Russell Real Estate Services. And, you know, for those of you guys that are good at video editing, putting in the logo and all that stuff, you can't do that if it goes out on the virtual tour link on the MLS. You can do that privately in you know, any of your Facebook stuff or anything that goes on KV Core, you can do that, but you can't do it with the MLS. Good point, Jim. Thank you. Thank you.
Can I say something about rentals that Stacy brought up? It just brought a thought to my mind.
Sure, Janice.
I had a new listing last week in Parma, and the scam that went on years ago is back again, where people are grabbing our listings and advertising them as rentals. I've gotten 6 calls so far on people saying, oh my God, I can't believe this house is being rented for this price. They're using the homeowner's name.
Yep.
They're getting it off of records, but they're giving their phone number, which you cannot get through to. You have to text. They're having people fill out online applications, online lease agreements, sending a picture of themselves saying, my wife just had twins and here's our picture, but we had to go to Dallas. Be careful, Stacy, especially since you have rentals. It's pretty scary. Parma Police, a report was filed from the homeowner. He's also filing, it's an identity fraud because they're using the homeowner's name. Also filing a complaint with the FTC. So I might grab a couple customers out of this, either for rentals or trying to convince them that maybe they can buy. So I guess they're helping me, but it's pretty sad what they're doing to the homeowners right now.
Yeah, you got to be real careful. Those scammers, I mean, they're getting very creative with what they're doing, and unfortunately, they're preying on people that are falling for some of this. You know, it's a shame. It's a shame, and you're right. You have to be very careful. Janice, thanks for sharing. Appreciate it. All right, so a couple questions on here. Do we have to get permission from our sellers? So if it's our listing, it's already in our listing agreement that we give permission to be able to market, photograph, promote that property any way we deem fit. If you are doing a virtual showing from for somebody else's listing, yes, you need approval from the listing agent and or the seller directly to do that, and it could come through in an email. But yes, you do need approval to video the inside of their property. Jeff Frisch, you said you had something, some cool numbers you wanted to share.
Yeah. So we had a small group talk to Dan Elzer this morning, which I don't know if a lot of you on this call had the pleasure of sitting down, going through his listing presentation and whatnot. So during this time, it's easy to focus on the negatives. You know, we're slower, blah, 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 blah. So one thing he went over that was really eye-opening for me was looking at the GDP. So in the last 12-month period, the United States economy as a whole contributed $21.4 trillion. That's how much we made. And we're able to invest in real estate and different things. If you look at the stimulus money, in the last 3 weeks, the federal government has added $9.8 trillion. 9.8 trillion, so almost 45% of the annual gross revenue of the entire United States is now added to that 21.4 trillion. So coming out of this, we've got businesses, we've got buyers, we've got basically almost pretty much $30 trillion, which is unheard of, being injected into the economy that people are going to use as soon as these floodgates open. So as soon as the states open back up, we now have 45% more in addition to what we already had, money that was pumped into the economy that people are going to spend.
Yeah.
So it's easy right now to say I'm slow or use this as an excuse or whatnot, but Mark has preached this. That's why we're doing these meetings every week, is get yourself ready, because it's going to come and it's going to grab traction. And next thing you know, you guys are not going to be home to see your families because you're going to be working the whole time. So keep in mind, through this, that all this money is going to be coming flying off the shelves here as soon as probably, here in about another, 8-9 days. So just wanted to share that. So that was a big eye opener.
Yeah, that's great, man. That's a good perspective of really what's happening out there. And you're right, the government's injecting money into this economy like it's never done before, ever in the history of this country. So, it will have a big impact. And, as long as we come out of this without, going back into lockdown 2 months later, we're going to see a really good, they say it's a check mark, it's a steep drop in the beginning, and then it slowly starts coming out like this as things starts opening up. I've read a lot of news stories on that, and it's really equating to the real estate market as well too. Jeff, that's great. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. All right, last thing, because I know we're running out of time, and if anybody's got to jump off, I know we're going late here, but it is good information. We want to make sure that we're sharing it with you. So the last topic I want to tackle with everybody is listings. So we've had I just went over those stats and showed everybody what's actually happening. And we're seeing a big reduction in actual listing inventory. But we wanted to talk about some best practices and different conversations we can have with our sellers to make sure that they are educated on what the market is doing, and that they are truly making good decisions when it comes to listing their property. So Mark, I'm going to start with you, and then we'll piggyback back and forth.
Sounds great.
Jeff,
So, Yep.
Jeff, I just want to confirm on this. If someone is going to go in and Skype a seller's home, and a showing or something like that, it's highly advisable that everyone, if someone calls you and says they want to do a virtual walkthrough with the Skype, I would definitely make my seller aware of that, so that if they have any personal things that are out or they do not want Skype or something like that that would be visible, that they place those safely out of the view.
Absolutely.
Before you allow anybody to do a Skype, any Russell agent or any agent, I would confirm with your seller that type of showing.
Yes, you're right. Because what I was saying before, and Bob, thanks for bringing that up. I want to make sure there's not confusion. If you are showing our property, if it's one of our listings, it gives us the right, but it doesn't give the co-broke the right to show that property into Skype or FaceTime. So we need to make sure we do have written permission through an email from our sellers allowing that type of showing.
And as a courtesy, whether it's a Russell agent or co-broke, I would still advise my seller.
Absolutely. Agree with you 100%, Bob. Thanks. Mark.
Perfect. So thanks, Bob, for that. That's always great, useful information that keeps us from getting our ticket punched, right?
Bam!
There it is. So I have some notes on this, obviously. A lot of this is what we've covered. The beauty of these meetings is all of the virtual that we can do is separating us from all the listing agents who are just sitting on their hands waiting for something to happen. So wow, to Lydia's point, your value proposition becomes vast when you can present this to somebody that's particularly looking to sell their home. You're going to get a lot of objections where people are going to say, well, nobody's leaving the house. Nobody's going to come and look. I don't want to do anything just yet. Well, we have solutions for that you are seeing on this, meeting that we're having right now. So take advantage of all of those things. The market is definitely moving, as you can see by the graphs and the data that Jeff presented to us. Be ready when this thing lets up, just as Jeff Frisch mentioned. I have been beating that drum loudly. You know, this is kind of the calm before the storm. Think of it as a floor that's been compromised but has not broken through. Once the weight is lifted, everything's going to bounce back. If you kind of put that out there, you'll be ready for it. Be very, very clear on where your interest rates are. Interest rates are still very, 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 very low. That's also something that you can use to help promote. The low inventory, there's huge advantages to that, because now you can be the person that kind of drives the force to adding those listings to your arsenal, and use all the tools and the things that we presented to you today and more that are forthcoming to kind of get you way ahead of that curve. Most other agents aren't working, just as Lydia mentioned. No one is doing those virtual tours, virtual open houses. Like, jump on board. There's less people to compete with. How great is it going to be for you to present your value by using all of these tools that we have customized to our particular situation that we're finding ourselves in, but there's still advantages to keeping everything moving and getting people moved. There's value, 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 value. That's also going to help when people start to compromise your commissions, which we all know that's a hot button for me. Like, you are worth it. If you have that much more value to present to your sellers that help support your commissions, that's a beautiful thing. Refine your systems. So we've had to customize things the way that we have things going. Refine your buyer system as well, because with any luck, that seller is going to become a buyer. Have that system down. Set very clear expectations. Make it look like you're the rock star that didn't let this pandemic slow you down. Be that person. We have all the tools in which you can do that. Leverage your leadership for challenges. You know, Jim chimes in, Bob chimes in, Jeff chimes in. Like, we're all here to help you, to keep you safe, to keep you productive, to keep you growing. So this could be a very exciting time if you can wrap your head around some of the dialogue that's kind of occurring through the body of this. Like, be safe. You know, refine those best practices. Make sure that you're protecting yourself. You're protecting your clients. You know, you got this. You totally got this. Once this is over with, you are going to be so far ahead of everyone else that we'll look back at this and say, wow, that was a ride. It had its pros, its cons, its challenges, but now look at where I'm sitting right now. I'm so glad that I took the time to develop myself, to make this an opportunity as opposed to a tragedy. So
absolutely.
That is my vote of confidence. You guys are educated. You're great agents. That's why we all are involved with Russell. You know, capitalize on it. Take it further. Run with it. It's there. It's there for the taking.
Absolutely. Mark, that's great, man. Appreciate it. You know, a couple of things with listings too when we talk conversation. So some creative things that I've seen agents do right now that makes a lot of sense. Well, first and foremost, overlapping showings. Everybody understands. I think you've probably seen that in showing time right now. You're not allowed to do overlapping showings. That's smart. We don't want a large amount of people in a house at any given time. Time block showings are something I'm seeing more and more of over the last couple of weeks. And what I mean by time block showings is you go into showing time and the seller says, I'm okay showing this property 2 times a week or 3 times a week. And you time block 3 to 4 hours during that time. You know, maybe it's Wednesday from 4 to 7 p.m. And one time over the weekend. You time block those showings and you have those showings lined up back to back to back. So it minimizes the time frame that people can be in that property. So there's not showings that are happening, you know, throughout the week over and over and over again. During those showings, I know I brought this up before, opening all the doors, having the sellers turn the lights on already, having the closet doors open, you know, minimizing touch points, instructing the clients, leave the lights on, the seller will turn the lights off when they get home. Just minimizing all those touch points in the property, making people feel more comfortable about going into a property or having people come into their homes through some of those tactics. The virtual showings, like we said, telling them that we have different strategies that we can do virtual showings if they're uncomfortable. But 2, three, I'm sorry, make sure they understand where the market is right now. With the lack of inventory, I think everybody can attest to this. If you listed property over the last, couple weeks, and you've listed it and priced it well, it is moving extremely, extremely quickly because there is such a lack of inventory. So sellers' houses can move very, very quickly if we put them on the market, price them accordingly, and put some good showing strategies in place to make sure that we're keeping that process as safe as possible. Any other tips or strategies anybody on the call would like to share, or conversations you've had with your seller about safety concerns or a strategy with safety?
Jeff, just to jump in on the showing time where they block showings, over the weekend, there were a few properties that I was going to show that showed them blocked the entire day. So I called the listing agent and she said, no, there should be no blocking. They both called showing time, and showing time both told both of them that they were crazy, that nothing was blocked. But trust me, we all saw it. It was blocked all the way down. So I just suggest that if it shows that it's blocked, call the listing agent just to confirm. Great advice.
Great advice. Yeah, I haven't heard of being blocked the whole day, but I know they won't do any overlapping, so, I mean, that's a good strategy to take right now. We don't want a bunch of people in homes. And for the record, I think this goes without saying, I know in March we canceled open houses. That is still in effect, face-to-face open houses. We are still, for the time being, canceling those as a company face-to-face open. So hopefully we'll see that start laxing in May, somewhere in May, but we'll play that by ear as things go on. Any other conversation or feedback that you've had from sellers? Nothing? My dogs are going crazy in the background, so I'm kind of muting myself intermittently here, so I apologize. All right, questions. Let me look at the site here. Do I need to be at my listing to do a virtual open house? I mean, technically your seller may be able to do it. You can do a virtual open house where you record it earlier and you do a live stream. There's different ways to do that, but yeah, for the most part, you'd have to be there. Rich put in the chat if you want to see some examples of what Matterport looks like. Thank you, Rich. That looks like it's a great link to click on, so you can see what that experience looks like. Bob, we covered that with Skype. Okay, I think we've answered most of these. Yes, and okay. Now, any questions that you guys have on anything that we covered today? Comments, concerns, things that you'd like to address before we break? I know I've kept you guys a little longer than I said we were going to, so I appreciate you staying on board with me. But any comments, questions, suggestions, topics you'd like to see in the upcoming weeks, anything like that?
Jeff, it's Ron. What's Matterport cost, just out of curiosity?
So Matterport, the standard on Matterport, and realize we're not making a dime on this. This all goes to the photographer. It's about $299, I think, dollars. It's quite intensive to set up, but that's just a cost that goes directly to the photographer. 200, Kim? Thanks. Okay, it's 200. I'm sorry, not 299.
Okay, that's a good price.
So, but you can schedule that directly on the back of the on their website that I shared with you guys. And there's some other photographers too that have that service. All right.
Thank you.
Other questions? No problem. Other questions? Any topics you'd like to see covered in the future so we can stay timely with you guys on what you guys are looking for? Not all at once. Come on. Don't overwhelm me now. Nobody? All right. Well, with that, guys, we'll break. I'll send the links out today to everybody that we spoke about so you can access them. Please take advantage of the education opportunities that we've been sharing with everybody. We are doing that 30-day push for the KV Core designation. We've already made the designation. We got it all set up, and we'll be rewarding that after the end of the 30 days. So, stay safe, everybody. make sure that you're practicing in a way that you're keeping yourself safe. Mask, gloves, make sure you got the disinfectants, everything that we've been talking about. We appreciate you. We're thankful for each and every one of you guys. We look forward to doing these in the future, and I can't wait to see everybody again. So have a blessed week, guys. Be safe, and we'll see you next week, same time.
Thank you guys for being here.
Thanks.
Thank you.